Hi guys, and welcome back to Irony Completed. So same outfit as my last video, but yes, I am recording back to back my July faves and my July book club. I just gotta wipe some swatches off my hands. Now when I said last time that I really didn't have many books that I'd read this month, this time I really mean it. I only read 2 books this month, and that's because I tried for like half the month to get through Gormenghast, and it was just taking me forever. Like, I was really enjoying it. It wasn't that I was finding reading it a chore or anything, but it was just taking me a really long time, and I realised that if I carried on just trying to focus on that book, then I wouldn't read anything else at all this month. So I decided to pause that for a while, finish it next month, and I read 2 books. The first book that I finished was Choke by Chuck Palahniuk, which was on my TBR for this month. Well, for July, because it's August now, and it was a reread. I read this last summer as well. I love this book. I got through it in like a day. It's just such a easy breezy kind of read, and I love Chuck Palahniuk's style. It is about a recovering sex addict who kind of goes around, pretends to choke on food, and then people feel sorry for him and will support him for the rest of his life. And it's about his step 4, which is writing down all the problems that you've done and all the bad things that you've done if you're following a 12-step recovery program if you are an addict. And it's kind of interesting. It's about how he doesn't want to recover. It's about his relationship with his mother, and it's also about sex and relationships and how family relationships can affect romantic and sexual relationships, I guess. It's a really fast-paced read. Like I said last time when I was describing it in my TBR list, if you have read other things by Chuck Palahniuk, you will understand when I say it's really similar to a lot of other things that he's written. He has a very distinctive postmodern writing style, which I adore, and I think that this book is just, like I said, so easy to get through, but in a really good way. Like, you just don't want to put it down. It's just a breeze, and it's a really cool, edgy is like the only word that comes to mind, kind of story, and a lot of his stories are like that. So I really enjoyed rereading this, and I would recommend it to Chuck Palahniuk fans or people who like the movie Fight Club, because that's the book that he wrote too. The other book that I finished this month was Seizure by Kathy Reichs, which is the second book in the Virals series. I recently realised there are 3 books. I've only read these 2, and I'm not sure if I will read the 3rd one. It's basically following on from the first Virals book. Basically, they get infected by this super virus that kind of makes them like part wolf, part dog, gives them enhanced senses, is the main thing that it does. So this is about the group of kids from the first book struggling to come to terms with that and their viral disease or whatever. They don't really understand it, and you don't really find out too much about it because it really is a journey of them discovering their abilities and powers and things like that. But this is also a book about treasure hunting. It's very similar to the first book in that the kids are trying to discover things and work things out for themselves, and all the adults kind of are just like what are you doing, stop it, kind of thing. And this one is about finding pirate treasure, and obviously they face a hell of a lot of obstacles along the way. Other people trying to find the treasure and stuff like that, people stalking them and hunting them down, and it's really fast-paced. The action scenes in this are awesome, but my main criticism with this is that it's kind of like she's trying really hard to be down with the kids with some of the speech and dialogue in this, and I can't remember thinking that about the first book, so I'm not sure if it is just this book or if it's the whole series, and when I read the first book I was just younger, so it didn't bother me as much. The main character in this book is a girl, which I really like. I like female first-person narratives, but she's like the only female main character that's good in this book, and she also has a severe case of like not like other girls syndrome, which also kind of bugged me. Again, I don't know if it bugged me when I read the first book as much because I was quite a bit younger when I read it, but they're my main criticisms, like the writing style and the not like other girl syndrome that Tori, the main character, has. Saying that, she is a really badass female character in other aspects. She's very much the leader of the group of guys that she hangs out with, which is cool, but it did annoy me a little bit that she was just like, ugh, those girls are bimbos, like I'm not like that. Like, do you know what I mean? A lot of young adult books are like that though, so it kind of comes with the genre in some respects. I really like this. I also really like the other books that Kathy Reichs does. I like the scientific forensic detective kind of novels that she's done. So if you are in the mood for a superhero forensic detective pirate mystery series, then maybe check this out, but not my favourite young adult book that I've read of late. Now, as for the books that I bought this month, I've comprised a pile of the ones that I can remember buying this month. I'm not sure if there's more, but there probably was more because I feel like I bought a hell of a lot of books this month, so I might be missing some. I feel like I bought way more than the ones that I can remember. I bought this book by Chuck Palahniuk. This is Damned, which is the first in a series that he did about a girl who smokes marijuana, and then when she dies she gets sent to hell, and she's living with a bunch of other like miscreants and stuff, and like hell turns out to be like pretty cool, basically. I bought this from Waterstone, so I didn't buy this secondhand. It was $8.99. So I bought it because I was in the mood to read some more of Chuck Palahniuk stuff, and I just saw this on the shelf and I was like, why not? Super excited to read this though because it looks and sounds really interesting. I also bought this book by Daphne du Maurier. It's a collection of her stories. It's The Birds, The Apple Tree, Kiss Me Again Stranger, The Little Photographer, The Old Man, and Monte Verita. So it's got 6 stories in here. I bought this because next year on my film in English course I'm doing a module called Adaptations, which is about film adaptations of books, and The Birds is one of them because obviously it's also a really cool film by Alfred Hitchcock. So I bought this for £1 from a secondhand bookshop near me, my favourite ever secondhand bookshop that I mentioned in my other video. From the same shop I also bought this Bret Easton Ellis book. It's American Psycho because I love the movie but I've never read the book, and I felt like I should because I like the movie so much. I started reading it but I've put it to one side because there's other books that I want to read first. So yeah, I love the style of it though so far. It's kind of, again, quite a postmodern style in my opinion, and if you like the movie maybe you should check the book out because it's cool. The cover's awesome as well, like so creepy. I also bought this book, which is Frankenstein as told by Spike Milligan. Do you guys know who Spike Milligan is? Because if you don't, I will be very sad. Spike Milligan was like an author and a TV comedian. He did a show with a couple of other TV comedians. It was a radio show and then it was a TV show, I think. I used to read Spike Milligan's poems when I was a kid. I had this like anthology of his children's stories and poems and I was obsessed. And then the secondhand bookshop near me had this section that was just Spike Milligan things, and I decided to pick this up because it's like really rude and dirty and funny, and it's just a comedic retelling of the Frankenstein story. Like the blurb talks about Frankenstein's monsters like raging boner and his addiction to cigarettes and stuff, so it's really kind of just a comedic retelling of a story that I liked in the first place anyway, and it was so interesting and unique that I had to have it, so I paid £1 for that as well. And the last book that I bought this month, or at least that I could find, was this giant collection of Oscar Wilde works. It is the complete collection of his stuff, so it includes everything he ever wrote, the poems, the plays, and I think also it has a picture of Dorian Gray in here. Yes, it has the picture of Dorian Gray, which is the only full novel that he ever wrote. It has all of his short stories, all of his plays, and all of his poems, and I think this was obviously created posthumously, so it will be his complete works. I've seen this book in a ton of other charity shops and they were selling it for like £5 or like £10, and I was like, no, I don't want to pay that much money for this. And then I saw it on the shelf in the bookshop that is everything for £1, and I was like, F yeah, like I can't pass this up when I've seen it for so much more money in other places. It's like the henchest book ever, and I bought it because we are studying Oscar Wilde next year on my course, and also because I like Oscar Wilde anyway. I've read quite a few of his plays and I enjoyed all of them, so I thought I should get this giant thing. And I know my friend has this and I think she paid more than £1 for it as well, so sorry Molly. But yeah, gonna maybe skim through this, delve into a couple of things from this book, but mostly I bought it for my studies next year. Moving swiftly on to my TBR list for August, for this month. I'm keeping it short again because I don't want to try and pressure myself too much when I know that I'm going to be spending time with my dad and my sister because they're over visiting from Finland, so I don't really get a whole lot of chance to read when I'm like surrounded by 4-year-olds. But I have 3 books in my TBR list this month. Firstly is the book by Chuck Palahniuk that I bought, the Damned. Yeah, Damned. So I'm gonna get through this because it's pretty short. So if it's anything like other Chuck Palahniuk books, I can get through it really quickly because I read Choke in a day, and I think I read Fight Club in like a day or 2 when I read that for the first time as well. So I'm very excited to read this because it's got some cool reviews on the back. Also, I think I want to read The Picture of Dorian Gray, which is in the giant book, but obviously is easier to read in small book form. So I mentioned this in my last video, I bought it in June. Pulp, the Classics Publishing House version, so it's like awesome and has Ryan Gosling on it. So I want to read this because I've been meaning to read it for a really, really long time, and I know I'm gonna enjoy the story, so hopefully I will like this. And finally, I want to finish Titus Grown because I got about a quarter of the way through this book last month, but the writing is just so small, it's just like so much more in here than you think it is, and it's already a pretty thick book as it is, so I did really enjoy it when I was reading it. It's a very descriptive book, and it's just kind of like really weird. I think the best way I can describe it is how I described it last time, which is like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy but set in medieval times. Does that make sense? Like, it's not Hitchhiker's Guide, like the writing style is nothing like Douglas Adams, but it's Hitchhiker's Guide in that it's kind of like quirky in that way, and it's weird, like the customs of the people in this book are like strange, and it's just strange and intriguing. So I'm definitely gonna finish this month because I want to finish it and move on to the other books in the series, which I haven't read yet. So I will. God damn it, I will finish you, you humongous thing. That's it. Gonna not set myself up to fail this month, hopefully. Hey, I read 2 of the books on my TBR list from last month, so I think that's a success. So why don't you guys let me know down in the comments what books you really loved in July and what books you are looking forward to reading in August. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, Tumblr or Instagram, they'll all be linked down in the description, along with everything that I am wearing and what's on my face and all that jazz. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry again that this video is a little bit late, but like I said in my July favourites video, I've been visiting my sister and my dad, so I really haven't had much time to film these past few days, unfortunately. See you next time. Bye!